My favorite on this entire list, and I have to give a shout out to my buddy Cole, Cornhusker Cole on X. He had a beautiful thread on this coach. He's my favorite of all the guys we've talked about. Even probably there's 3 or 4 other guys we could talk about. This is my dude. He's not the splash hire. He's not the guy that's going to probably make shockwaves across the country about, wow, this is a big time hire. But the resume speaks for itself. And Nebraska fans, we have to get out of this. Every hire has to be a home run hire, right? Jim Knowles is not coming through this door. Jim Leonard is not coming through the door. Would I love them? Yeah, of course we would.
Absolutely.
Nebraska's not getting them.
No.
0% chance. And if they do, hell yeah. But this is my dude. I'm going to probably butcher his last name. You can probably correct me. Vince Kers, Kehres.
Your guess is good as mine. I was thinking Karras, but
we'll go with Karras. But this is my dude. He's in his 6th season as a defensive coordinator at Toledo. And you're probably thinking, it's Toledo. Could care less. The resume speaks. There's one thing this dude does: perform, improve, and win. Okay. Linebacker coach as well, DC and linebacker coach. So that would actually help us with our linebacker issue. His dad was a legendary coach at Mount Union. He himself was a legendary coach at Mount Union, which again, that's a D3 school. He went 95-6 as their head coach, a 941 winning percentage. I don't care what level you're at. 95-6 is absolutely insane. In his 6 years at Toledo, he has 31 all-conference defenders. He just had a first-round draft pick from by the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. First-round pick, all-conference guy, all-American guy. In 2020, he took Toledo from last to second in the MAC in total defense, number 1 in third down defense. In 2021, they were number 1 in scoring defense at 21.8 points per game, number 1 in pass efficiency defense. In 2022, number 1 in the MAC in total defense, passing yards allowed, passing efficiency defense, top 20 nationally in all of those categories as well. 2025, this is the big year. 2nd nationally in total defense behind only Ohio State. 2nd nationally yards per play, 3.91 yards per play behind only Ohio State. 4th in scoring defense, 12.1 points per game. 8th nationally in rush defense, 91.2 yards per game. 3rd nationally in yards per rush, 2.53. 3rd nationally in red zone defense. 2nd nationally in pass efficiency defense. And 9th nationally in sacks with 35. Nebraska has 13.
Yep.
He had 2 national championships at Mount Union as their head coach. He played in 5 during his 7 years. He was a coach or a player on 12 of their 13 national championships. His defense was top 10 every single year as their defensive coordinator and head coach.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, runs a 4-2-5, which very similar to the 3-3-5. Yeah. So runs very similar off defense to the 3-3-5. Quarters coverage, it's kind of, but he maximizes the ability to stop the run. And I think there was a few numbers that you talked about here. First in opponent third down efficiency in 2020. And then 2021, pass efficiency defense, I think you talked about that. 118.8, 2nd in total defense, 3rd in passing yards allowed. 3 first-team All-MAC defenders. And then two draft picks came from that. 2022, 112.19, 18th in total defense, 12th in pass yards allowed, 10th in efficiency. You talked about that. MAC championship that year, 4 first-team All-MAC honorees, the most they've had since 85. 2023 led the MAC in sacks. Again, a 2.8 per game for him as well. And pass efficiency, 11-3 that year, back-to-back MAC title games. So had an All-American that year, first-round NFL draft. Yep, by the Eagles there. So just number by number, it fits the mold of exactly, and it's the easy transition from the 3-3-5, 4-2-5, whatever. Those two are so similar in the way they operate that it would be a perfect fit. And you kind of talked about his time at Mountain Union, just building something that lasts. And I think that's another thing too, is just building something that lasts, adaptability, able to come in and just, again, does what he does well. That quarter defense, you can match it up. Excellent with run fits. And I don't think he's going to necessarily require a ton of money to be able to bring in, like you talk about, not a flashy, not a splash hire,
but a damn good hire, I think.
So
I don't know what his salary is. Like, I'm sure we can find it.
Yeah.
Let me find it real quick.
I'm gonna dive into some of the comments here. I see something. There's not a cat. It's not a cat behind me. It's my Chihuahua, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
No cats.
I want you to guess what his salary is.
$300K. 150.
241.
Damn, son.
And that's up from last year.
Yeah. So not necessarily going to require a ton. Like it's a perfect, again, not a splash hire, may not be the sexiest name in the world, but the numbers speak for themselves. It's the same reason why I was so excited about Addison Williams, is because you look at just everything that he's done, right? At every place he's been. And it's just not only the quick turnarounds, but the building and sustaining of success. And I think that's the biggest telltale sign of a good coach, is like, can you build something and can you sustain it? And I don't care what your name is. You know, he has how many years of head coaching experience? 20 plus years or 20 plus years of coaching experience?
7 as a head coach. 7 national championship appearances, I think is what I said, or 5.
And experience is the ultimate teacher, right?
Yeah.
Experience is the ultimate teacher. So you have a guy who has all the experience in the world, who can be had at a lesser price, whose scheme fits your scheme, and he answers the questions of what you struggled with on defense in your year. I mean, it checks every box.
Here's an impressive thing too. Last season, they played a Power 4 team. They played an SEC team. They held them to 17 points and beat them by 25.
Yep.
I know Nebraska fans, we want, is it Jim Knowles? Is that his name, or James Knowles?
Jim Knowles.
Jim Knowles, yeah. We want the Jim Knowles. We want the, the big fancy name. I get that. But you have to understand, one, those guys are going to get a lot of money and a lot of offers from other places. 2, it's more about culture fit than anything else. Also, look at Jim's career. Jim Knowles, for example. The last decade plus, he's had 5 stars all over his defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a lot easier to call a defense when you have Micah Parsons at linebacker
and you're 3 deep everywhere.
Yeah. It's those guys, great defensive coordinators. But we're talking about a guy who has turned Toledo into a powerhouse on defense. Toledo. I don't care what conference they play in. They're top 10, top 5 in almost every statistical category. They would give us trouble right now. Agree? Probably.
Yep. Who would, if you had to rank those, what would be your top 3?
Vince, for sure. He's number 1, and it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Wilcox would be number 2. I think he's a legit possibility. I think Brent Pry is going to probably go to Oregon. If I had to make a guess. I mean, Justin could too, now that opening's up, and he is from Oregon.
Those are my 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, Vince.
If Scott Simons isn't. In a perfect world, Scott Simons my number 1, but everybody knows that.
Scott
He's been
Simons
since last cycle.
Yeah, he interviewed last cycle. It was a really good chance. He's from the DFW area. That's the big problem. He's home. That's where his family is. It's going to be next to impossible to pull him away from there. Also, SMU has a ton of money.
God, that would be my in a dream world. Scott Simons would be our defensive coordinator.
There's one name, and we were texting about it this afternoon, that's being thrown out as a legit possibility.
Ryan Walters,
the defensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator at TCU, who was a finalist last year, Andy Avalos. And I think my exact words to you would be an effing disaster was my response to that.
Yeah,
but
and
I know he's interviewed last year, and he's probably getting another one this year.
He doesn't have what we talked about, the sustained success.
Correct. He had one great year when they went to the national championship and got boat raced by Georgia.
Yes. And
that was the year, I believe, we brought in Tony White, right?
That was.
And so that's when we were like, oh, 3-3-5 defense, look at that. It's making its run in the playoff.
Yeah,
and then they played a team with
the year prior. Yeah, because the year prior was the year that, because the year prior was the year that we brought in Tony White that next season. And then they came out in the opener and lost to Colorado, I think.
Yep.
That next season.
And they gave up like 48 points.
Yes. So, 3-3-5. Here we go.
Yeah. I think people's biggest concerns with Vince are no Power 4 experience. And that's 100% valid. I don't knock anyone for having those concerns. The guys we just talked about before him all have all the experience you'd want in the world. But what I like about his experience more so than others, it's all from the bottom up. D3, defensive coordinator. D3, head coach. Goes from D3 head coach to Toledo defensive coordinator. And he just continued that success. And to me, that speaks volumes because you're not playing with good talent in D3. Let's be real. There's some good guys, but they're all walk-ons. Your roster is very limited. There's no scholarships like at all. And then at Toledo, you're strapped financially. Their NIL is next to nothing. Their rev share is next to nothing. And they went out and beat an SEC team by 25 points last year.